let's move forward and go to the movies. He comes and he goes on a rainbow. There it is. Culture Blaster, Michael Snyder, everybody. Hi.
Hey, hi, Kim. Gong Hei Fat Choi, everybody. Happy Chinese New Year. I'm not sure if I will attend the Chinese New Year parade in San Francisco or Los Angeles, but I promise I will try to soft pedal any Year of the Snake references to that snake pit, Washington, D.C., where it's been the Year of the Snake since January 20th. My big question is, can snakes also be pigs or baboons? Because it certainly seems like it in D.C.
What
Oh,
is
man.
what is your Chinese astrological sign? Do you know?
I think I'm a tiger. I just
Oh.
feel very much like I have the eye of the tiger, or I have the eyes of the tiger. And of course, I cast them towards movies, TV, concerts, and what have you. We got to keep on rolling. And shall we talk about new films? There aren't a lot of them, but I was pretty impressed with one of them for sure. Shall we go?
Let's do it.
Okay. Smart and funny and creepy and exciting Companion is a totally cool sci-fi fueled horror tinged thriller with more than a few comedic moments and some criminal activity. There's a little bit of a crime drama going on here too. The premise is deceptively familiar. Nice guy type Josh, played by Jack Quaid, and his seemingly perfect and loving girlfriend Iris, played by Sophie Thatcher, joined three of Josh's friends for a weekend getaway at a remote house belonging to a boorish but nouveau riche Russian guy. But Iris is very uneasy about the gathering. Well, what could possibly go wrong? I can't even imagine. Anyway, in short order, the true nature of things begins to be revealed, and then the situation gets even crazier. The push and pull and the backstory of the Josh Iris coupling, given dimension by Quaid and Thatcher, set it apart from previous movies that may have served as influences. I don't want to spoil anything, but I think that the posters and the trailers do a pretty good job of that. I will just say that if you're familiar with and liked Ex Machina and Lars and the Real Doll, Companion is for you. Jack Quaid is, as noted in previous blasts on the MTS, Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan's son. Yeah, a bit of a nepo baby, but he's good, and his filmography ranges from the rom-com Plus One to the animated TV show Star Trek Lower Decks to the prestige movie Oppenheimer, and to the upcoming action comedy Novocaine. He's got two movies in close proximity. And if Novocaine is as good as Companion, he'll be 2 for 2 in 2025. Thatcher is a rising young actress whose impressive turn as an imperiled teenage Mormon missionary in Heretic is exceeded here by her multifaceted portrayal of Iris. Familiar faces in the supporting cast include Harvey Guillen of TV's What We Do in the Shadows as one of Josh's friends, Megan Suri as a sarcastic woman in the group who is sleeping with the Russian and seems to have issues with Iris, and Rupert Friend as that mysterious Russian. The screenwriter and director of Companion, Drew Hancock, nailed and expertly melded the different elements of the film, including its satirical punch regarding the power dynamics and romantic relationships that are on the brink. For the most part, Hancock previously worked in TV as a writer, but Companion comes off as the product of a veteran filmmaker. It starts really sly, it shifts to sinister, and it ends up a full-on rager. And all the while, it cooks while looking as good as movies with much bigger budgets. To be fair, a lot of it is set in this upscale house in a beautiful remote area by a lake, so there aren't a lot of locations, but Companion doesn't need anything beyond that to deliver its twists and turns and shockers. I know it's a low bar, but Companion is my favorite American movie of the year to date. I know it's the
What?
January doldrums. With its tongue-in-cheek take on the perils of love and sex in the tech age, it's also the perfect pre-Valentine's Day antidote to that Hallmark holidays, relentless sweetness and light. Companion is in theaters.
So you're recommending Companion?
I am. It's quite
Okay.
good. I think some of the people responsible for that very, very smart horror film, Barbarian, are in production positions for Companion. I thought it was damn good. Okay,
Awesome. Okay.
Let's move on. Should we move on?
Let's do it.
I believe that the rom-com "You're Cordially Invited" is the first team up of Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon, whose specific comedic skills. I mean, he's usually loud and loony, and she's usually tightly wound and snarky. They may seem at odds, yet they mesh pretty well here. The situation is that through a booking error, two weddings are scheduled for the same day on a Georgia island resort that can only accommodate one wedding at a time. So Farrell is the single father of one bride. Witherspoon is the bachelorette sister of the other bride. And when both wedding parties arrive at the venue, conflict and a few bursts of hilarity ensue. I mean, there's a lot of verbal vulgarity, which might account for the R rating, but it's generally good natured and with some pretty talented comic actors and some laugh out loud lines and bits. In short, I know this damning with faint praise has to stop. It's better than I expected. Um, on the other hand, no, it doesn't quite hit the standards of previous efforts from comedy screenwriter director Nicholas Stoller, who wrote and directed this. He's the guy who directed Neighbors and Forgetting Sarah Marshall, both of which
Mhm.
I thought were really funny and really good. He wrote the recent Muppet movies, The Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted, and wrote and directed the funny gay rom-com Bros. Yeah, this isn't quite up to that. In
Um,
addition to Farrell, whose character is kind of a homebody Mr. Mom type, and Witherspoon, whose character is an LA-based reality TV producer, the supporting cast features the rather amusing Geraldine Viswanathan from Bad Education and Blockers and Drive Away Dolls, playing Farrell's daughter, and the somewhat amusing Meredith Hagner from Palm Springs and Vacation Friends as Witherspoon's sister, and Jack McBrayer, good old Jack McBrayer from 30 Rock, as the manager of the double booked wedding venue. So for the first two-thirds of You're Cordially Invited, I was pleasantly surprised. I laughed. Farrell and Witherspoon have decent antagonistic chemistry. It was clever and kind of antic. And then it jumped the shark. No,
uh-oh.
sorry. It jumped the gator. See that poster, and you'll know what I'm talking about. And
Yep.
from that point on, I just was not as on board as before. As far as the soundtrack, there are some obvious needle drops, as you would expect for a movie about weddings. But as
Yeah.
my guest at the screening said, there is no reason for the repeated use of one rather famous song after it serves a very effective gag in the middle of the movie. Nonetheless, it's repeated twice more. I mean, she was beside herself on the third version of the song. Anyway, should you RSVP to You're Cordially Invited? Well, it's only available on Amazon Prime TV. So if you have a subscription, you could do worse than giving it 20 minutes to see if it tickles you. It's no classic, but I chuckled now and then.
So kind of recommended, but not wholeheartedly.
No,
No.
tentative at best. It has its moments. It does. And again, for the first two-thirds of it, I think they really have something going. And
Yeah.
then it's anything for a laugh, and that doesn't always work.
I have to say, I wouldn't have put Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell together. Like, I don't see them as a couple.
Yeah, that may end up being an issue for you during the last 10 minutes of the movie, but
Oh, okay.
I will say, oh my God, oh, spoiler alert. I will say, honestly, they mesh pretty well despite their disparate approaches to comedy. She's done some rom com stuff in the past, and she's very much at home with that sort of thing. And
Sure.
again, you would think oil and water stylistically, but it works for a while.
For a
Okay,
while.
let's
Okay.
wrap up the new movie segment with Dogman.
You
Now,
know what?
Dogman.
No matter what you say, I'm going to have to see this movie. Like, there's
Okay,
no,
okay,
I have,
okay.
I'm gonna get dragged.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Dogman is, we'll call it the idiosyncratic animated feature film based on a very popular and what seems to be a cheerfully wacky book series that I have not read. Although my friend Alan tells me he has enjoyed a bunch of them, and he actually has copies in his personal library, and he's a grown
Uh,
ass man. Anyway, the kids at the screening I attended and a few of
What?
their adult handlers who were all fans of the book series really embraced it. And to an extent, I did too. I mean, I need to say, I was surprised at the setup, which is rather grisly for something geared to children. Here we go. The title character is the surgical solution when a police officer and his loyal dog are seriously injured on the job. I mean, life-threateningly, devastatingly injured. The human cop's head is damaged beyond repair, and so is the dog's body. So the doctors screw the dog's head onto the human's body, sew it
Of
up,
course.
and voila, Dogman lives, sort of. I mean, the human brain's done, and the dog brain's in charge, which leads to some amusing behavioral quirks. Anyhow, Dogman is back on the force, courtesy of the gruff but apparently lenient chief of police, who speaks with the familiar voice of Lil Rel Howery. Our canine-ish hero is still determined to solve crimes and to pursue his or their arch nemesis, Petey the cat, a villainous feline voiced by, okay, Petey Davidson. And, obviously Dogman wants to bring Petey to justice. And the cast has comedic chops beyond those of Davidson and Howery. Isla Fisher voices a local TV reporter with a yen for the chief of police. Stephen Root is Petey the cat's grandfather, kind of a bastard. And Ricky Gervais lends his sneer to a nasty cyber-enhanced fish that is even more of a baddie than Petey the cat. And in fact, kidnaps Petey's kitten clone, Little Petey. And this kidnapping forces Dogman and Petey into an uneasy alliance. Although Dogman is a product of computer animation, it's got this willfully primitive, almost sketchy character design and settings, which are faithful to the look of the books. And it's a nice change of pace from the usual Pixar, Disney, Illumination, DreamWorks style. And meanwhile, the jokes, the puns, the general lunacy, all that comes at you fast and furious. Dogman was directed by Peter Hastings, whose CV is mostly DreamWorks TV shows, and I guess one of them is Kung Fu Panda spun off a number of shows, and it was scripted by Dav Pilkey, the actual author of the Dogman books,
Yeah.
as well as the creator of another popular book series for kids, Captain Underpants. So I expect that Dogman the movie is true to the sensibility of Dogman's daddy, if you will. Pilkey must have signed off on it, and even if not, I'm not a rabid fan of Dogman. Get it? Rabid? Dogman? It's
Nice.
silly. It's benign entertainment for the younger set with humorous references for the grown-ups. Dogman is in theaters.
Was that a recommendation?
It was.
Okay. Benign entertainment.
Yeah, I
Can't
think that
hurt,
was
right?
yeah, I
All
mean,
right.
a bit more of a recommendation. I stand a little more behind it than I do behind You're Cordially Invited, but certainly not as much as Companion. So, Kim, I wanted to tell people that on February 6th, this coming week, the 17th annual Mostly British Film Festival kicks off at the Vogue in San Francisco, the Vogue Theater at 3290 Sacramento Street. That's from the 6th of February to the 13th. And it's a whole bunch of movies that were spawned by English filmmakers and by various and sundry people in countries that were connected to England as colonies or
Good.
part of the Commonwealth. And there's
Mhm.
some really, really good ones, including a wonderful film about a survivor of a World War II battle who decides to show up at the big D-Day celebration. And he turns out to be the last of his group. It's called The Last Rifleman, and it stars Pierce Brosnan in a very lovely,
Oh.
measured performance. There is a really cool kind of intrigue film about the early days of Israel and the Palestinian conflict in the 30s and 40s. It's called Shoshana. There is a lovely Bay Area premiere and maybe American premiere of a film called The Penguin Lessons, which is based on a true story about an English teacher in Buenos Aires back in the 70s as the local government upheaval starts to impact everybody. And it stars one of my favorite comedy actors, Steve Coogan. And there are many, many other movies, including restored The Red Shoes in a restored print, Paddington in Peru, the third and latest of the Paddington movies, and a couple of really fascinating documentaries, including one about the Merchant Ivory filmmaking duo of Ismail Merchant and James Ivory, and Made in England, about another movie making duo from the UK or from the Commonwealth. The films of Powell and Pressburger, and those are the guys that did The Red Shoes and of other movies, including I Know Where I'm Going. It really looks
Mhm.
like a hell of a selection, and I did want people to be aware of it. If you are interested in checking out the Mostly British Film Festival, tickets and series passes are available at mostlybritish.org and at the Vogue box office in San Francisco. I hope I'm back to catch a little bit of this stuff. I'm going to be heading back to San Francisco in a week or so. And even if I haven't, I have seen a number of the films that are on the schedule. And I'm going to be writing up a piece for the Voice of San Francisco on the Mostly British Film Festival. So be on the lookout for that.
It sounds amazing, and all you had to say was Pierce Brosnan, and I'm already on board.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
thought that was a lovely film.
Yeah.
And some of the things are from the past couple of years. Again, Paddington in Peru and the Penguin Lessons, I think, will not have had their American releases prior to their showing at the Mostly British Film Festival. So you're going to be seeing some stuff in advance. And it's always a good time. I highly
Mhm.
endorse the MBFF. Quick
Okay.
notes on TV shows. Do we have a minute or
Yes.
two?
I wanna talk to you about streaming because I think I watched at least one of the ones that you're gonna talk about, so I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Okay, so let's kick off with The Night Agent, which has reached its second season on Netflix, starring Gabriel Basso, who was in the recent Juror Number 2, which I thought was a pretty damn good film. And also, I love this, he played J.D. Vance in the movie of Hillbilly Elegy. How about
I
that
did
for
not
crazy?
know that. That's crazy. Okay.
It's fully crazy. So, The Night Agent is spun off a novel by a guy named Matthew Quirk, and it's about an FBI agent who has been basically he's been sent to the basement of the White House to take care of a phone as part of a kind of black ops unit. He's taking care of business, and in the first season, he ends up back in the field, and he becomes brought into this sort of secret agency that takes care of, I guess, various and sundry spies and
Yeah.
people working in the espionage realm that get in trouble. So he's sort of a troubleshooter, and he joins that group. And in series 2, he's confronted with some serious issues in terms of uh, missing classified information. Boy, does that sound familiar if you've been paying attention to the
Mhm.
news. And betrayals in the American government and all kinds of geopolitical intrigue. And I'm about halfway through it, and I don't like it quite as well as the first season, but I'm still on board. I'm enjoying it. And I think that, I'm going to plow right through. I got about 3 or 4 episodes to go.
That's exactly what I thought. I liked the first, series better, but the first season better, but the second season, it might not be as good as the first, but it's not bad. So it's
No, no,
entertaining still. Yeah.
it's caught me up, and his female counterpart, well, actually co-star Lucienne Buchanan is back opposite
Mhm.
Basso as Rose Larkin, who was sort of innocent and pulled into the world of treachery and espionage in series 1. And they have a yen for one another. Uh, I miss Hong Chow from the first season. She played a very clever and sneaky government operative who was our hero Peter Sutherland's contact when he joined as a night agent. I recommend it. I thought it was so far pretty good. Quickly, Harley Quinn is on its 5th season. Harley Quinn is based on the DC character that people must know from her portrayal by Margot Robbie in the movies. She's sort of an anti-hero. She's sort of a criminal. She was the Joker's girlfriend, and now she is in a relationship in this cartoon set of adventures with Poison Ivy, the villainess, and they're both sort of trying to take the do-gooder path. And it is profane and funny. It has a lot of DC Comics Easter eggs, and has absolutely no restraint when it comes to lampooning superhero issues, superhero characters, their quirks, and what have you. And Kaylee Cuoco is the voice of Harley Quinn, and she does a lovely job. And a lot of the supporting voice people include Alan Tudyk and Lake Bell, and Tony Hale, some really talented comedic actors. And it's a comedy, and it's funny stuff. And again, it's pretty vulgar, so not for the kids. But if you
Okay.
are a grown up who likes animated cartoons, and aren't taking your kid to go see Dogman, Harley Quinn might do you.
And you've got one more, yeah?
Yeah, Creature Commandos, which had its run. By the way, Harley Quinn is on Max, which is the Warner Brothers fueled streaming service that's also connected to HBO. Creature Commandos had its first season run on Max, and I'm bringing it up because it's the very first project to come from the new regime running DC Comics films and television shows, led by James Gunn, the filmmaker responsible for the Guardians of the Galaxy movies at Marvel. And Creature Commandos is a kind of surprising kickoff for this new universe of DC Comics adaptations, which will continue with the new Superman, which is coming up in a few months and already has a lot of buzz thanks to various and sundry trailers. The Creature Commandos is based on a DC comic book about another government black ops type named Amanda Waller, who pulls together a crew of supervillains who either are seeking redemption or need to work off their sentencing, and sends them out into the field to do the dirty jobs that other people won't do. And there's a whole geopolitical thing about an Eastern European country under siege, and it's fairly amusing. And James Gunn, by the way, was responsible for the Peacemaker TV series at Max, and so he kind of knows the superhero genre. And I was entertained by Creature Commandos, but I was surprised that this is how he launched his incredible widespread revision of all the DC projects. I give it a tentative thumbs up for fans, but if you're not on board with this sort of thing, or you're not a comic book fan, I don't know that this would be your cup of tea. But
Okay.
again, the voice actors include Indira Varma and from Game of Thrones, and David Harbour, who has been Hellboy and was in the Marvel movie Black Widow. We're talking some talented people involved.
Mhm.
And if it's your sort of thing, check out Creature Commandos, available for streaming like Harley Quinn's 5 seasons on Max. And I guess that's it.
Yeah, we'll recap it. You say, as far as movies, Companion, you said it cooks, it's got twists and turns and shockers. And though it's only January, it is your favorite American movie so far of 2025. That's Companion. You're cordially invited. You said, hey, it's better than expected. It's on Amazon Prime. You said it's not going to be a classic, but it's not bad either. Dogman, you said it's benign entertainment. You throw down a recommendation for Dogman. As for streaming options, The Night Agent on Netflix, we agree. You said it's not as good as the first season, but it's entertaining and watchable. Harley Quinn on Max, you said it's funny but vulgar. Creature Commandos, also on Max, you said it's entertaining, but you give it a thumbs up for comic book fans. If you're not a comic book fan, then maybe this one might not be for you. And that is the Culture Blaster Michael Snyder extravaganza on this Friday. Thank you so much.
Oh, you are most welcome, Tim, and my regards to you and Albert and Tony, and of course Mark in absentia, doing the
Yep.
Lord's work at KFI. He's he's the man on the scene. So we'll hopefully check back with you guys next Friday, and have yourself a lovely weekend, everybody. And go Warriors!
One of the things I didn't ask you is, did you see the Fire Aid concert last night?
I did, and I had a few moments that I really was excited about,
Yeah.
not least of them being the quasi Nirvana reunion helmed by Dave Grohl. I loved watching that, and I thought
Yeah.
Dave Grohl's daughter did a great job up there on the mic. And as you know, it was great to see Everybody participate for this extremely good cause. And as people in the chat noted, with the federal government not going to be forthcoming under the orange ogre, we're going to have to scramble and cobble together as much money as possible. So thank you, everyone who contributed to Fire Aid. It was a joyful show for a good cause.
Well, a lot of love for you in the chat, Michael Snyder. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye.
Bye.
Snyder, bye-bye, bye-bye.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell, you'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.